Introducing Richard Huck Planas, 8th degree master of Kenpo karate. As a true first-generation student of Ed Parker's, Huck trained at Master Parker's Pasadena School in the late 60s, and as a black belt, he managed and taught at the Pasadena School until 1975. Huck served for over 10 years as the executive vice president of the International Kenpo Karate Association until Master Parker's death. Huck Planas teaches not only the how-to, but the why, based on the rules and principles of the Kenpo system. As Master Parker said, he who knows how will be the student. He who knows why will be the instructor. Huck Planas is available for seminars internationally. For booking information and information on other RVF videos, call 1-800-356-VIDEO.
Okay, now we're ready to start into long form 3. Now long 3, remember a short form takes the thought process or the principal motion and does X amount of material. Now long form adds to that and adds reverses and opposites to what we've already done and carries the thought process farther. So you're going to notice, and if you know the forms, that the techniques in short 3 are not the same techniques in long 3 past the first 2 moves. This is done for different reasons, and we'll point some of those out. Now you'll notice I have 2 lines on the floor. We changed the foot pattern, and this resembles what we call railroad tracks, or the parallel lines, where the form is called the 2-horse form. And what we're going to do is we're going to stand in our first horse and do the first half of the form. Then we're going to move back 2 steps and get in our second horse and do the second part of the form, and then we're going to move back up and close, but we're not going to be in the same place. And I'll explain all that when we get to the end of it. Now, salutation is different. We're just moving to go into the salutation. The only difference is now, remember, we use the 3 long fingers because it's long now. So again, we go to the background, long 3, and then through the salutation, all the way out. And when we close to attention, then we start moving, or we move in. Now, when we move, I'm going to have to change to get us onto our horse position. So when we move in, remember we close to attention, and I'm between the railroad tracks. We're starting off the same way as short 3. So I go in and move off and make my punch. Then I'll do my hand isolations, and then I'll step back to a horse. And when I get here, then I'm going to shift over and get on the line so you'll see how the footwork relates. So I'll be moving to shift onto the railroad tracks to show you that. But now let's start the form. It's exactly the same, we just add to it. So we go in exactly as short 3, coming off, poke, and punch. And then we add what we call a hand isolation here. Now you'll see this done many different ways. I'm going to explain it to you the way it was taught to me and the how comes and whys. Now we have the rules. Remember the form is a grab form, so now the person grabs, and this is just an isolation. I mean, it wouldn't be in a horse. You're just standing here to point this out. So the person is grabbing, his hand is on top, so we say, okay, get on top. By rolling the hand over, puts us on top. Then you leave where the thumb points. So the thumb now points basically up, so I'll break out of the thumb hold, and then come into my frictional pull down on the bottom side of the circle to get my hand cocked, and then cut through the center line with a straight punch. Okay, now, so we're looking at the circle here, and this is the top side of the circle, and this is the bottom side of the circle. Then I divide it in half. So I have a circle that's divided in half. So the hand is working on the bottom side of the circle. The bottom side, not the top side. So the bottom side away, and then in with the punch, then cut back through the center line, to the solar plexus, and then over the top side with the back knuckle. When Mr. Parker used to have us do this, he would want us to nick our gi with our back knuckle going. You'll hear this on the microphone going here as you do the back knuckle in. So again, from the punch, we get on top, come out where the thumb points, frictional pull, punch, back through the middle, and then over the top. Now there's another set of moves here to put it all in that I'm going to bring Rick in to show application here. So Rick, come in. I'm going to put you on this side. Now, I'm not going to stand in a horse. I'm just going to show the principle here of what's going on. So if the person grabs, see, basically he's on top. So we say, okay, turn over. This puts us on top. Gives you the upper hand. That's where the term, who's got the upper hand comes from. The man on top has the advantage. See? So we say, get on top. Now the thumb points this way, so that's the way I come out and leave that. Then my frictional pull hits, and I slide to get the frictional pull into the punch. Okay, and then that completes that set of moves. Then the person grabs again, same hand. I said, now, I did that by getting on top. I can also come out where the thumb points. Now the thumb points over here, so I come out this way and then come over the top with the back knuckle. See, so there's basically two releases in here. So the first one, again, from position, I'm punching, stay close. He grabs, I say, get on top, break out, you get your frictional pull, punch, then grabs again, say, break out, and back knuckle. See, so when we do that, it's a one smooth move. See, so again, one more time, Rick, he grabs, we get on top, frictional pull, punch, and then over the top with the back knuckle. You can just think of it that way, or you can think of it from the punch, the re-grab, break out again, and back knuckle. Okay, and that's basically that hand isolation. Thank you. Okay, so watching that from the front, from the punch, we say, get on top, break out, frictional pull, bottom side of the circle, cut through the center line, cut back through the center line, nick your solar plexus, and our diagonal back knuckle, just like we had in the twos when we went. See, it's the same basic shot. Okay, so let's put that in the form where we went in, moved off, poke, pull, punch, get on top, frictional pull, punch, break out, back knuckle. And then we hit our horse. And that would be, for the lines, represented here. Okay, then we do the opposite side. We go in, and it's all exactly the same. Move off, poke, pull, punch, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, nick, and back knuckle. And then back to the horse again, to the horse position. See, so every time we move, we're going to come back to the horse. So we'll repeat that one more time. See, so you understand where we are, we might get off the line. See, so we're coming from, if I start here, it might turn out this way. So we go in with the strike, right side, move off, poke, pull, punch. Get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, back knuckle. To the horse. Second side, left side, punch, step off, poke, pull, punch, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, nick, back knuckle, back to the horse. Okay, get that down. We'll be back with the next series in a second. Okay, I hope you got that down, but let's go over it again and we'll add the next series of moves. I'm going to start on the left line from the close, so you'll come out in the horse. So we stepped in and made destructive twins, off, poke, pull, punch, isolation, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, break out, back knuckle. To the horse, left side, in, off, poke, pull, punch, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, break out, back knuckle, and into the horse. Now we do the same technique as short three, crashing wings, but there's a timing difference. And this is just, we do many things like this on different timings to do the same technique, hand and foot timing relationships. We're going to do crashing wings, but you notice I'm already in a horse. And when we did crashing wings in short three, we came from the punch and we closed to a cat to represent, basically, remember, feet together, so we had to step out and crash to do crashing wings. But now we're already in a horse. So remember, we used a cat to represent the normal stance. Now we're going to use a horse to represent the normal stance, and that's why the step comes anyway. So we're in a horse and my hands are down, as opposed to being in a cat with your hands up. See? So here, you're ready to move the foot, you're ready to drop the hands and settle. You have all that motion to do it in. Now your hands are down So we're going to, what we call, cheat out to our extra wide horse. So I'm going to move my right foot out past the line, about the width of my foot or a little more. See? And that's my step out. Now my hands are going to go up and cock and come down in my crash when my foot moves in that very little motion. So I have to go real fast with my hands. I got to go and settle the hands in with the step. So this is our extra wide horse. See, sometimes I call this an elephant instead of a horse. See, so you understand that we're going past the horse. See, so we're going to go extra wide and come back to our horse. See, so you see the line. So anyway, we're here, we go out, crash, and then we do the standard crashing wings to come around, and then we neutralize facing 1030 and bring in a principle here that we talked about in short 3, where we drew the 7 to get behind the man to do crashing wings because the man was behind us. Now we have a technique, dominating circles and combination tripping arrow, that we use the reverse of the pattern to get behind the man when he's in front of us. See? So that's why we neutralize and we say, understand, I drew my 7 with my foot to get behind the man, and now I'm standing here normal facing 1030 and the person's at 12 and like reaches out and grabs, and I reverse the 7. The foot comes off the ground now, but to see it, see, all you're really doing is reversing the 7 to get behind the man when he's in front of you, or reverse the principle. So from the crash, and we neutralize, here again your hand and foot do the same thing. So my hand and foot go up, and I break down the arm, see, and I break down the leg, moving together. So hand and foot move together. We've been doing this all along. Some of them I pointed out, some of them I didn't. Remember when we did 2 that we did our jab with our hand and foot with the front hand. And then I didn't point it out, but then when we went to the crossover, we did our hand and foot, which was your rear hand. Instead of your front side, it's now the back side. Rear hand and rear foot. And now you're doing hand and foot again, but the purpose, the angle, line of force is different of doing the same thing down. So we broke the down, and then we go into the takedown. Now, for position, to show the footwork again, when I did crashing wings, I stepped outside the line, and this moved me off my line. See? And when I came in here, then I went into my takedown. I'm basically back to where I started from with that foot. You do the pivot and takedown, then we neutralize again, and then we say, oh, this foot's out of place. Let's put it where it belongs. See, so we say in this form too, out together, in separate. This is out, moving out away from the line, and this is in, back where we came from. Out together means with your hands because it's being used. See, when I go out, I'm out with the use. But in is all by itself. That's just to get us back to where we came from. So I'm going to repeat this series again. We just step to the horse. We're going to do crashing wings. So we go out extra wide and crash. We're off our center line. Elbow and hammer. Then neutralize facing 1030. Neutralize here doesn't mean neutral bow. It just means horse position to neutralize. Then I reverse the 7 and get behind, and then work the takedown to the side. Now, this is tripping arrow, but you know in tripping arrow the takedown goes forward, but here we're doing it to the side. This is just to show that the position is the same and you can do it either way if you wanted to go forward or change your direction. So then we go back to neutralizing again, or our horse. Then we say, okay, let's get back to where we came from. So the cheat goes back to the line. Now we're back to the position before we started crashing wings. We add another hand isolation in. So we go down and then roll and do a double vertical back knuckle or uppercut type move going up. Again, we just go down and up. Now this is done together, not separate. And the reason being, it is so short of a move that we do them both together. And I point this out, I said, we could have done the beginning of the form and got the same thing accomplished of doing destructive twins on both sides and then saying, okay, let's do a hand isolation where we go from the punch, we go out, double frictional pull, punch, and back knuckle. See, there you would be doing exactly the same thing by putting them both together, but this is long and involved, so we show them one at a time. And now the second isolation is so short that we do it together. It could be one and then the other. We could go one, and here's the other one. See? But it's so short, like I say, we go down and then up. Okay, now this just reverses the principle. Remember that when the first grab, we went clockwise to get on top, and then did our frictional pull to punch and then out. So here, the person grabs and maybe turns our hand up. So we say, I've already been that way, I've shown you that, let's do another one. So now we go down with the punch and rotate into the thumb, and then come up the center line with the shot. And let me bring Rick in again to show this in application. I'll do it single hand and double hands. Come from this side, Rick. Put your left foot forward so they can see what's going on. He really would basically be square here, but he grabs me now and turns my hand up. So he grabs and turns my hand up. So I say, oh, well, that's what I did before. When he grabbed me, I turned my hand up to get on top. Then I came out where the thumb pointed. So he grabbed and turned me up. I say, well, I've shown you that. Let's do something different. So now I go in and go down, and the punch comes to the groin. Then I roll the back knuckle, and the back knuckle comes up this way. So we go punch and then in. Both hands would be the same. He turns up. I come in with my hit, then the roll against the thumbs, and then up. And that would be the application of the move. It's just a short, sweet move to get out of the thumb and then reverse it. Thank you. Okay? So, and then that series of moves will complete the right side of that whole series. So I'm going to do that again, then we'll add the next side. So I'm in the horse. We go out and down. We're out extra wide, hit, neutralize, reverse the 7, take down, neutralize, cheat back in to start, punch down to get out of the grab, roll, back knuckle. Now we're ready for the left side. The whole process repeated left-handed. With left foot out, out, down, around behind, hit, hit, neutralize, come onto the line, take down, take him down, neutralize, cheat back to the line, down, up, down, and that completes that motion. Then we have an extra move called the wipe off. We go right over left, you hit your own gi, your palms to your waist, and then we peel off this way, palms forward with the thumbs. Okay? And this is a thumb hook where we're taking the hands off. So this is a category completion move. We just showed you how to get away from the thumbs all these different ways. So you left his hand there and you got away from it. The opposite now is let's get his hand off of us. And we do this by hooking the thumbs and coming off. Rick, let me use you again so they can see this in application. It's behind, has us in a rear bear hug. So the hand that's on top dictates your motion. If the left hand is on top, you take that one. If the right one's on top, you take that one. So what you're doing, again, would be one or the other. You really can't do them both, or you could. You'd have to go 1-2, though, to get the clearance. So here the thumb is what I'm looking at. So when I hit, my thumb hooks under his thumb, and I use my thumb to hook hit and pull it off. So I'm taking the thumb off of me. See? The right hand was on top, would be this way, and you're hooking the thumb. See, the thumb is what you have a hold of. That controls the use, and we're doing them both. Really, this is what you're showing. See, his hands basically become where your hand are. The same thing, a palm forward. See? So you're getting him off of you. So you're taking the thumbs off. And we do this from behind. The same position is matched in short 3 when we make our pin, that we would do it from the front. To point that out, when I did circling wing, remember, coming from here, and he grabs my hand, I say, hey, we make the pin. See, this is the same pull-off because of the position from the front. See, that we do. So we have both positions there, front and back. Thank you, Rick. Okay, so let's go through that whole series on both sides. In fact, let's do the whole form up to there, and then we'll let you work on it. So coming to this line, we go in and move off, poke, pull, punch, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, break out, back knuckle, back to the horse, left side, in, off, poke, pull, punch, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, back knuckle, back to the horse, cheat out extra wide, around behind, crashing wings, neutralize, reverse the 7, take down, to the side, horse, cheat back into normal, punch down, punch up, second side, out, down, around behind, hit, hit, neutralize, get behind, take down, neutralize, cheat back to the line, down, up, down, complete the category. Let's get the hands off of you. Okay, and that's the end of the motion in the first horse. So work on that, and we'll be back in a minute with the next move. Okay, I hope that didn't give you any problems. Now, before we add the next move, I'm going to get back in the horse. We're going to take it from there where we just did our wipe off. Now, remember I told you this was where we finished our first horse. So we're going to move over now onto the left railroad track. So when I did my part down low, I'm going to close over to the line and I step back on the line. So I'm basically neutral on the left railroad track, and I'm going to do parting wings, which we should know. Part, go into our chop, chop, middle knuckle. Now I'm going to do a back to front switch here and reverse my hands. The back foot comes up, cross the hands. Remember, we don't cross our hands, we stack them. We don't cross them. So you stack them and drop back on the line and do a position or technique left-handed when we come into the middle knuckle, into the solar plexus. Remember, we're working here. Don't work in a groove and shoot all the same place. We go middle, high, low. See, so let's do that again when I come to the new line after the wipe off. I move over and drop back. I go middle, high, low, back to front, back, middle, high, low. Okay, now we're doing glancing spear is next. It's a right direct wrist grab to my hand, and my hand is already underneath, so I slide up and make the pin to my hand. Okay, now this is related again to short 3. When I make this pin, 2 step away and drag, it's like in after circling wing and crossing talons, I made the pin from the top, 2 step in and work my elbow fulcrum. See, so now I'm moving away doing the same thing. So when I make this move, I slide up and pin the back of the hand, and then I'm going to move away and transition through my cat into my reverse, and then my neutral with the elbow and the ribs. And then this is the glancing spear part. It's hitting that heel palm down and then glancing into the eye shot. Down and in. Okay, now one more time, then I'll explain how this relates. See, well, from the last part. When we're in here, I can make my catch. I make my pin reverse, neutral, and forward. Now you notice from sideways, to watch sideways, when I do this, if I was doing the technique, I would get my reverse, my neutral, and then this dip is the glance. So this, we had our frictional pull. This is your frictional push. So you're doing the same thing. So when we did this motion, we went away on the arc and in on the straight line. See? Away on the arc, that's our frictional pull, and then in on the straight line. So now we're going away on the straight line and in on the arc. See? We just reversed that principle. See? You should see that and understand that. Away, in, away, in. See, is what we're doing. So once again, when we made the catch, see, we drop back, reverse, neutral, forward, and then we turn this hand to make the catch, and you get to back, reverse, neutral, and forward on the second hand. Now from there, we drop back to your second horse, which would be basically our 2 steps back on the railroad track. This is our second horse, ready to do the corners or the angles. What we normally say is the front horse hits the walls, the second horse hits the corners. And then we'll walk back up and explain that principle. So let me do that one more time, coming to the angle, then I'll let you work on it. So we just finished our wipe off. We move over. I'm going to stagger a little so you can see this better. I move over, back on the line, forward, neutral, forward, back to front switch, back, forward, neutral, forward, catch, reverse, neutral, frictional push forward, catch, reverse, neutral, frictional push forward, second horse, which is on the line, and we're ready to start our second horse motion. So work on that. We'll be back with the next part. Okay, now I hope you've got that part up to there. Now remember, we're at the start of the second horse, so from our last glancing spear, when we step back and hit the horse. Okay, now you'll see this done different ways, and I'm going to show you this from the side. When I step back into the horse, you see people put a pause here or keep the right hand moving, following the circle. And all you got to remember is you're following the circle so you won't get mixed up on your hand position. I mean, the hand is coming back, then don't reverse the motion to go around the circle from the front. See, the hand is coming back, so keep it going from behind over the top. So it doesn't matter if you stop here or keep it moving. There's no problem in doing that. See? So when we're dropping back, we hit the horse. You say, okay, let's keep the right hand moving around from behind over the top to our back knuckle, around from behind to our back knuckle, from the front, the claw and the back knuckle, from the front, the claw and the back knuckle. That's the singles, and then we do them dual. From behind, over, and from the front, around, and over. And these moves, as you should understand, is just marriage of the rams and snakes of wisdom. See, so just one way on the circle and the other way on the circle to go around the arm. So that's our hand isolation part. Remember, anytime we stand in a horse means hand isolation. See, so let me do that one more time. When we hit the horse, we say from behind, from behind, from the front, from the front. Our duels from behind, and our duels from the front, and a hit. So now we're ready to what we call establish our railroad tracks. So when we move back 2 steps, we just make a series of moves here to show that we understand where we are, or making a statement, I understand where I am. So now we go back to crossing talons and do it on the left railroad track first and the right railroad track second. Now here's where you need to understand the strong side first. Remember when we did short 3, when you did crossing talons, you really did that left-handed. But we don't consider it left-handed because it's all in how you learn it. The strong to strong, and when you work crossing talons, remember the hand that's working is your left hand. See, to do it strong side, you'd have to be working your strong arm. And most people, when they try to do crossing talons with your good arm, feels weak because you never learned it and practiced it that way. But remember, your right hand is really your good arm. I relate this also to like playing the guitar, that when you play the guitar, you say, I play right-handed. Well, really, your left hand does all the work. They both do, but we consider that you see this moving and you don't see this moving. So the left hand, if I turn the guitar around and try to work it right-handed, I can't even get started. But this is my good hand. So again, so there's really, in learning, there's no such thing as right or left. It's all in how you learn it. See, and crossing talons is a good example of that. So here's where it feels wrong, but it's really right. So we go crossing talons from here to the left railroad track to work your strong arm. So we put the hand out, make our counter grab, and now is the strike version. So we hit the strike, and then take down, elbow, and then come around. And we don't cross the line. We just stay in basically a horse on the line to establish where we're at. Then we drop back to the horse, stick out the other hand, and now we do our good side when we do the takedown, the claw, and drop. See, and then we come back to our horse. So that just to reestablish the 2 railroad tracks Now we're through with the railroad tracks until the last series of moves. So from here, we're going to add our corners now. And we're going to go around ourselves, and we're going to head back to 730 into thrusting wedge. Okay, now I'm going to do this in the transition, then I'm going to turn around and do it where you can see it from the front. So in transition, I go around behind and hit the corner, make my wedge, my dip, and then drop into the claw. Now to catch that in position, I'm going to do it from the opposite side. When I'm facing this way, I come around and hit the corner, and when you do hit the corner, the wedge happens. So when I come in, I say, there's the wedge. Then I'm going to pull the arm down, drop both arms down actually, and then loop this elbow up under the chin, and then drop into my claw. Okay, and then come back around where we started from to hit the horse again. Okay, now from proper position, or the way you're really looking at it from here again, go around myself to 730, into the wedge, the loop and the elbow, and then back around myself to the horse. That would be on the line. And then repeat the process around this way to 430, going around behind myself, the wedge, the lift, the claw, and back around to the horse where we came from. Okay, so add that set of moves. We'll be back in a minute with another move. Okay, and I hope you've got that part down now. Remember, we just did thrusting wedge to 730 and 430. Let me basically point out what we're doing here. So when we do thrusting wedge, then we're working one-handed. Okay, and we did that to 430 and 730. So now we're going to come up to the front corners of 1030 and 130 and work the same basic type of motion, but both-handed, see, or two-handed. So we do this, one of the things we do in our forms is we work our singles and then our duals, see, and that's going to come into play here. I'll point that out as a relationship to something else. So we're back in our horse. We just came off a thrusting wedge. We're back in our horse. So now we're going to head to 1030. And we'll stay with our rule here. When you go in, your hands go in. When you come out, your hands come out. So you got to lead with your hands, and we're going into the wedge. And in thrusting wedge, let me point this out also, when we went into the fingers go in the eyes, and the elbows become the pivot out, and they move, and the hands don't move. See, now in this technique, we wedge, and the elbows become the pivot point, and the hands move and go into the strike. So again, we say, let's don't move the hands. So I'll put my fingers together so you see this, and the wedge happens, and the fingers stay together. Now the elbows become the pivot, and the hands move apart. So I pivot from this point out and around. And that happens when I go in. So when I move in now, I go around and I move in my groin shot. Your head has to be in zone of sanctuary around so you don't get the headbutt. Then we come around behind and go deep for your pull again. And now we're using our hooking back knuckles to the kidneys, and we pull on your come out and lock into your outward block. Because our hands are below our opponents here, and we have to stay with that rule of keep your hands up. So when we're up here and we say, okay, I hit, but I better get my hands back up. See, so when we went in, our hands went in. When we come out, our hands came out. Now we slide back in with our horizontal slice. I'm going to do this into the camera so you can see this. With the horizontal slice to the eyes, ending up with the thumbs. That sets the hand position to slide down the arms, frictional pull down now, and turn into our double back knuckle to the temple. Okay, so here's our frictional pull down, both hands, just like in 2 when we went, not a frictional pull, but the motion's the same. This side and this side. On our singles, now we have our dual, which is the same motion. Okay, so once again, we went in, we say, let's get in, let's come out, let's go back in, down, double back knuckle, and to stay symmetrical, we do both forearms, but you can't do this. Nobody can do this. Your body won't let you do this. It creates a bind, especially anybody with any bulk on them. You can't do this. So just it's done to stay symmetrical. It would be, to watch the camera, it would be one or the other, just like we did when we did 2. We went punch and forearm. See, you didn't go punch and forearm because you can't do that. So your body won't let you. So this picks up the opposite side. When we did 2, we had the left forearm strike, and actually in the technique here, when he came out and back in, it would be the right, which lines the stomp. But just to stay symmetrical, because remember all of these were duals, that we stay that principle and keep with the dual. So when we went down and hit, we do both arms, catch the head, knee, stomp. Now keep your weight forward here. I see a lot of people do it. I'm going to exaggerate for the camera, is knee and stomp, and you see my weight is back. See, you want to keep your weight over. When you stomp, you want to have you so you know that weight is forward. You don't pick the foot up, but you see the weight is forward. Okay, so one more time, the whole thing. When we go in, say hands in, hands out, slide back in with your slice to the back knuckle, forearm, hit, and the weight is forward, and then back to the horse. Then repeat the whole process to 130. There's no difference in the hands, it's just which foot is forward. So there is no right or left side here because we're working square. So we come in, we hit, come out, slice, frictional pull, back knuckle, both, knee stomp, and back to the horse. Okay, so that finished our 4 corners. We went, remember, from our horse, 730 with thrusting wedge, 430 thrusting wedge, 1030 blinding sacrifice, and 130 blinding sacrifice back to our horse. So that hit finished our X. We finished the X pattern, so we go back to the square. Here's where Wings of Silk comes in again. Now, in Wings of Silk, to be different in short 3 to long 3, we have an extra move after this when we get into the next series of the scraping hoof part that I'll point out how that's different. Now, Wings of Silk, we make our stomp again, our heel up, and our spin out, and this gets us basically off the line like we did before. Then we retrace our footwork back to the line and back over to be on our horse. Repeat the process. The opposite side, out, we spin out, away from the line with your brake, back to the line, and we transition. We're back in your horse. Okay, now that difference in scraping hoof. Remember when we did scraping hoof in short 3, right after crossing talons, we did crossing talons and we were down and the person grabbed us, so we just raised up with our cheat and then went into our rear bow. Remember I talked about the principle, when you're high you go low, and when you're low you go high. So we say here we go back and put the moves back in long 3 that we left out of short 3. Okay, because you know when you do scraping hoof that the person's grabbing, we step out and hit with the punched in the V behind our head, make sure we break the hold, and then lock in with our rear headbutt and stiffen to oppose the force. That's the moves that are missing in short 3 that we go back and put in long 3. So we're high now, in other words, and we're going to go low instead of being low to high in short 3. So we're up already, the person's grabbing, we step out again on our line, then come down to break the hold, and then cheat back in with our stiffen. Then we go our rear bow, kick, kick, stomp, and when you land, we want to do both sides in this form, so we show the weight transfer correctly where we don't have to make a weight shift. We hit our rear bow on the second side. Okay, so let me show you what I'm talking about. If I hit my rear bow and I go kick, kick, stomp and land in a horse, then I have to hit a rear bow on the other side, and what that means is make a weight shift. And then I can kick on the other side. So that's a move we don't want to show here. We want to be there when we land. So when we make our rear bow, we go kick, kick, stomp, and when we stomp, the weight is already shifted where I can kick, kick, stomp without making the extra weight shift. And that's what we're trying to show in this part. See, so one more time. When I go out, I go cheat out, down, come back in, stiffen, rear bow, kick, kick, stomp, and I'm already in the rear bow on the other side. No extra weight shift, kick, kick, stomp. Okay, then this is where you tie it together with repeated devastation. So I'm going to move now onto the railroad track under the right foot. When we started the form, remember, we moved over on the left railroad track and walked back to hit our horse. Now we're getting ready to walk forward, so I'm going to move over on the right railroad track to do that. So after I did these moves in my kick stomp, I'm coming forward on the line of the right track and making my grab. Then I reverse bow with the pull and the elbow. Okay, now, so you see this from the side. When I just made my hit, bang, bang, and I'm coming out, I step, grab, then reverse with the elbow. So my pull and elbow. Then I'm going to do a back to front switch again here. As I step back, I'm going under this arm, step out as I grab the other, and reverse that line. So watching from the front again, when I made these moves, and I said, okay, let's step and grab, pull an elbow, come under this hand, catch this hand, and reverse. And what this relates to is snaking talon. Rick, let me bring you in for this. Come on this side. If he's going a left-right punch, see, or both hands are out, just come in like with a push. See, then we have this principle of making a snake. See, over this hand and under this hand to catch. Or if it's an accommodation punch, we go over this hand, under this hand to catch. So see, I'm making the figure 8 around the arms. That's with him facing me. So now with him behind, just stick your arms out straight. See, I want to show that same figure 8. See, so when I made these moves and I made my pin, when I step out, you notice I'm under this arm already and over this one to grab. So this hand is locked in and this hand is locked in. And when I reverse my elbow, when I come back, I go under the right arm and over the left to make the grab. That way I have them both tied up to reverse into the elbow. See, so that's how you make that figure 8 of around the arms with him behind you. Okay, so let me do that series once again. Thank you, Rick. Okay, so when we moved out, we did our kick stomp, both sides. Then I go forward. I'm already under this arm, grabbing on top, reverse. When I back to front, under this arm, over this one, and reverse. Now, the difference now when I step back, I go to a horse, and you notice I'm off the line, one stance. I started here. I'm over one stance now. In other words, my left foot is where my right foot was. Okay? Now, a lot of people change this form for tournaments, strictly for tournaments, to start and stop where you ended. This form was not made to start and stop where you ended. So how they do that is put a horse switch here. Okay, when you do both sides, when you step out, you elbow, then go back to a horse and come over here and do this, and then come back to a horse. Okay. If you do that, you leave out the switch, the opposite switch that you did at the front corner. What I mean is when we got ready to move back, when we did parting wings, we came back. Remember, when we did parting wings, and then we did a back-to-front switch. See? Okay, and remember that we make the statement, you know from basics that we never do a back-to-front switch because we kill our base and move into our opponent before we move back. So here we're doing a move wrong. There's lots of different things to look at here, but this is one of the main things. So we're looking at a back-to-front switch. So then we get back in the back corner and we get ready to move forward. If I don't have this switch in there on this line, it's missing. And here's an example. What we have is a back-to-front switch shows a position, how it would be wrong in the front corner, that when the man is in front of you, you can't do that because you move into him and kill your base before you move back. Now looking at this from the side, when I made my step and the grab and I hit, see, the man is behind me basically. This is my front foot. This is my back foot. So the only thing you can do to move right here is a back to front switch and then move. So this points out that we consider a back to front switch wrong but when the man is behind you, it's proper. See, so you're doing the same thing. So if we leave that switch out, it doesn't match up, and that's what you want to look at here. So when we did that again, we're coming off of our horse, we did our scraping hoof, kick, kick, stomp, kick, kick, stomp. We come to the line under the right foot and reverse, and then show that switch on the line and reverse. Then the right hand is out. We leave it out and we step back and match it. Now we're gonna move forward with desperate falcons, the two-hand wrist grab. So from here, we don't move our left hand. We take our right hand and go underneath to make the tie up. Now I'm going to move over. Remember, this is to show you the line. I'm going to move over onto the lines so you can have a reference point. See, the right hand, we say right under left. Well, this is right under left, but I got there by moving the left hand. I want to get there by moving the right hand. See? So the right goes under the left. We move forward with our pull, and then our transitional forward bow, back knuckle punch. Then I have to stick my hands back out and pass through this position to go left under right as we come up the line and shoot, and then step back up to the horse on my railroad track. But remember, I'm going to have like a third railroad track, and you're actually going to be off the line. This form comes out one stance over. In other words, for the lines, like you start here, you end here when you do the form. Unless you put the horse in the back, and then you'll come out in straight. But remember, if you put the horse in, you lose the missing switch of the proper way to use a back to front switch. So let's repeat that one more time. When we did into scraping hoof, we step out, hit, come down, cheat back in, then we go into scraping of kick, kick, stomp, kick, kick, stomp, then to the line of the right foot, reverse, switch to the line, reverse, right hand is out. Now it's right under left, transition, back out, left under right, transition, and you notice the left foot comes to the line, and you close into the form and do the salutation. But I want to point out one more thing. Remember when we moved back after parting wings, we're on both sides. Then we did glancing spear with the left hand, pin the hand, and we moved back. Okay, and then with the right hand, pin the hand, left under right, and move back. Now we're doing that same principle moving forward. So we're going just like when we moved back here, now we're moving forward with that position. And here under, we're moving forward with the same position. So we have our trap back up, and our trap back up, and our tie up moving forward, and our tie up moving forward to show that opposite direction working the same principle. So in the end, one more time, when you came over to the line and you reversed, you make your switch, reverse, match it, right under left, transition, left under right, transition, horse, close, into the salutation, and we are through with the form. And that is long three. Now, we'll just go back and do the whole form from the beginning. It's fairly long, but we'll breeze through it. We'll forget the salutation. We just close. Okay, I'll be on this line, but we wouldn't do that right to left close. This was to get me on my line. We go in, move off, poke, break out, punch, back knuckle, second horse, left side, come off, poke, punch, get on top, break out, frictional pull, punch, back knuckle, hard, extra wide, around behind, neutralize, reverse, take down, neutralize, drag, down, up, down, left-handed, out, down, behind, elbow, hammer, neutralize, extra wide, take down, neutralize, back to normal, down, up, down, thumbs off, complete the category. Move over to the left line, parting, back to front switch, catch, reverse, neutral, forward, catch, reverse, neutral, forward. I'm going to move up a little for the line. Horse, behind, behind, front, front, double behind, double front. Establish your lines, crossing talon, strike version. Down and around. Second, out, strike version, and around. Lines established, X, thrusting wedge, 730, back around, 430, back around, blinding sacrifice, 1030, out, back in, both, and 130, out, back in. Wings of silk, off the line, back on the line, off the line, back on the line. Stepping out, punch, back in. Scraping hoof with the transfer, and then over, hit, switch on the line, match it, right under left moving forward, left under right moving forward, and into the salutation, and close, and that's long 3. Hope you can get it down.